I would now like to call Honorable Natalie Chung Sung Yu ma'am. She is a passionate environmentalist and social entrepreneur pursuing MPhil in Environmental Change and Management at University of Oxford as the Esther Upick Lee Millennium Scholar. At the age of 18, she co-founded social enterprise We Air Hong Kong to promote low carbon local tourism as means to mitigate climate change. She has experience of working with World Bank, United Nations, World Economic Forum, Kaduri Conservation on missions spanning across Australia, Spain, China, the UK, and the US. She has been appointed by Hong Kong government as a youth member at the Council for Sustainable Development. It is indeed a pleasure to have you with us, ma'am. I invite you to express your views on the topic and enlighten us with your golden words.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Great. So it's really nice to meet you all. I'm from Hong Kong, and thank you so much for having me at this event. And echoing what Ala just said, I recognize that all of you are teachers, and really thank you for your passion in joining this program and improving your knowledge on sustainability so we can all build a better planet together. And I'm sure you all will inspire your students to take a path which can bring about green growth and decarbonization. So I'll start my presentation now. Let me share my screen. Are you seeing the slides?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. So today my topic is about linking tourism and SDGs, which are Sustainable Development Goals, and how do we promote rural tourism as a means to enhance climate resilience and community building. So this is the talk today, and this is the agenda. So talking about the organization that I co-founded in 2015 is called Fair Hong Kong, and we are an environmental NGO specialized in local tourism. So why do we have that idea? Actually, we had this idea because we found out that greenhouse gas emissions in the world actually account for 5% of warming, and that even though a lot of other sectors are rapidly decarbonizing, for example, energy, but then flights still keep increasing until during the COVID lockdown period. So flights were declined a lot, but then we can still see that a lot of people have this eagerness to travel abroad, but then not knowing the environmental impact behind and the significant carbon footprint. So in Hong Kong alone, actually 25% of our carbon emission per capita comes from traveling abroad, which adds up from 6 tons per person to 8 tons. And so we are thinking of using this route of promoting local tourism as a bottom-up approach to raise public awareness on carbon literacy, letting people know where their carbon footprint come from. It's not only about switching off lights, it's also about maybe taking one less flight per year. So our ultimate goal is to alleviate climate change through promoting local tourism. And our key areas is by doing public education workshop, youth empowerment, and also local tourism in order to raise environmental awareness and carbon literacy of people in Hong Kong. So this is our website. We use it as an innovative tool to increase tourist motivation. So you can all scan this QR code on the slide and visit our website, www.varhk.com. So we're actually introducing some ecological hotspots in Hong Kong so that people can read this information. And I recommend that maybe in India as well, you can organize such a page so people can know about the hubs around them and also know how to travel sustainably instead of maybe picking up grass or picking up flowers or killing wild animals. So the UN World Tourism Organization actually identified the linkage between tourism and SDGs. They think tourism is most relevant to these 3 SDGs, which are economic growth, responsible consumption, and life below water. While we, as Fair Hong Kong, having organized so many local tours for the public in Hong Kong, we realized that tourism also has a role to promote sustainable growth of rural areas, not just the urban communities. So we think that there are two additional important SDGs that tourism can link to, including sustainable cities and communities and 13 climate action. So climate resilience is defined as the ability of systems to absorb disturbances by IPCC report, and Tyler and Monique also generated this framework to assess climate resilience. So we identified some common rural problems. I think it's not just the case in Hong Kong, probably in India, there are similar problems as well. The first problem is that some of the rural sites are being abandoned because farmers move away and moving to the urban area under urbanization. And another thing is the loss of heritage. So there are very valuable culture and indigenous knowledge in rural areas, which can be easily lost as people move away and abandon the areas. And also there are a lot of environmental degradation to favor development, which can also be seen in some of the rainforest when people start to deforest the area in order to develop them into commercial agricultural plots. And another thing in Hong Kong found is the conflict between private property right and conservation. So the photo here shows some of the people very against the government taking their land to build houses. Oh, sorry. I think my computer. Yeah. Okay, so we can move on to the next slide, which is a classic ecotourism model. So I got this from a paper by Kirkby, which shows that actually nature provides biodiversity, and this biodiversity in turn gives tours to the ecotourism industry, which can improve living standard and welfare of people, and in the end, improving land use governance. So we see this flow as a very constructive model where rural resources can actually benefit the local economy and local people. So here are some of different users using rural area, including the government, society, residents, and NGOs. So moving on to some case studies. This is a case study of Long Valley, which is a very valuable wetland in Hong Kong. So there was a controversy on railway development in 2003, and then eventually some environmental NGOs stepped in to stop the railway development. And this was a very successful campaign because we found out the value of rural areas. So NGOs stepped in, and then they kind of cooperated with the local farmers and also rent some of their fields to operate them in a sustainable manner instead of in a degradation state. And there were also a lot of eco tours held to generate revenue for local farmers. In the end, it can become a site of conservation, ecotourism, and agriculture. And the government is also aware of the success of this project. So they actually announced a plan for building a Long Valley Nature Park in 2019 to further protect the biodiversity there. Another very interesting case study is in Sham Chung, which is a river valley in Hong Kong near the Kelang Hasi. And it is a country park. It is located next to a country park with a lot of different habitats, including here streams and grassland, woodland. And actually, there was a major problem in Sham Chung before because a lot of citizens, they were demanding the government to build roads and infrastructure leading into the village. But then the government did not allow to do so because it was too costly. But because as more people and more tourists come into the area, the government decided to reconstruct the village pier, which brought a lot of convenience to the villages. So we can see this kind of cooperative model where tourists can actually give incentive for government to improve livelihood of people living in the rural area. And one last case study is Tai O. It is, again, a fishing port, and it is called the Venus of Hong Kong with very beautiful views. And Tai O is a fishing village and known for a lot of these stilt houses built on water. And Tai O was also identified as a site for rural and cultural tourism. So the government actually improved a lot of local facilities to enhance visitors' connection with nature and also improving the local environment in order to further develop tourism. And here are some of the improvement works. For example, they built a better dike around the sea area, so to alleviate flood risk. So this kind of construction not only improved the tourism locally, but also reduced flood risk and enhances climate resilience of the local area. So as a conclusion, we believe that local tourism is actually a strong medium to stimulate investment in infrastructure, climate resilience measures, and also soft measures to promote conservation of cultural heritage and environment. And last but not least, it can bring about social awareness for community building because government can carry out consultation sessions, understanding what the community thinks about the area and try to carry out those improvement works which can enhance societal bonding. And through developing this kind of model, ecotourism model, we can try to maintain the rural vitality and resilience without losing any of the environmental and cultural qualities of the spots. So in conclusion, I'd like to establish the linkage between tourism and sustainable development goals once again. So it's not only the three SDGs which are important, but actually tourism also has a very important role in promoting sustainable cities and communities as well as fighting for climate action. So here are some of the references and some of the information about my organization and myself. So feel free to send me an email if you have any further questions. And thank you so much for this opportunity once again. It's a great pleasure speaking to all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much
for sharing the concept of ecotourism with all of us. It has given a lot of idea. It was very inspiring for all of us. Thank you for giving a display of the case study also in detail. Thank you so much. It is indeed a pleasure to hear from you.